Welcome back to Sitting with Sallie. Today I'm talking with Cindy Melenchenko about her mother, Joyce Melenchenko, and their journey into Joyce living in Birchwood with Lewy Body Dementia. When we met before and we started talking, and one of the things that I thought was very interesting, Cindy, is that you talked about your journey as a daughter with your mother Joyce as she was going through being diagnosed and into dementia, and just some of the tumultuous situations that came up that made you really reevaluate your role as a daughter. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's a fair way to put it. I think initially, when you're dealing with a situation like this, you're thinking that you're in their reality and everything's kind of normal, I guess. And then you realize that there's no rationalizing with somebody with dementia. And I had to realize that I had to go down my own healing journey to be able to navigate this situation healthily.
And part of it is, and knowing you, you're a very positive person.
Thank you.
Well, you're always up.
I try.
Yes. But again, I'm sure there was denial on your half, but versus positive thinking and denial, that must have come into a bit of, I don't know if conflict's the right word, but.
It was hard, and yes, I always try to be positive and look for the good, but then all the stress took a toll, and I just needed to finally realize that I had to seek help and get support with dealing with the situation.
And how did you do that?
I was always going to craniosacral therapy, but I started realizing that I needed to start seeing a counselor. My mother and I had gone to a Byron seminar with Canadian Mental Health, and connected with them, and then ended up starting to see one of the counselors there.
And it must be very difficult seeing a person that's been with you all of your life, your mother, changing.
Yeah. That was very difficult. And that's the definite reason why I ended up going to counseling, because I was going to visit her all the time, and then I'd be coming home crying, and she was changing. It was hard. And then I realized, a term called anticipatory grief that I had to start dealing with is every day you look at somebody and you're mourning them every day, because they're not who they used to be, but they're also still alive. So that was very difficult.
And each time, like you said, every 6 months there was a bit of a decline, so
Yep.
you'd go through that again.
Yeah.
And when you say anticipatory grief, how do you work through that?
That's a good question. It's just accepting what is, and now I really just go into her world and enjoy the moment, and not get caught up in what's going on. The other thing I also, I know we talked about before, is the balance between duty and life. Now I just visit my mom when I want to, out of my heart, rather than out of I have to go and see her. One of my friends said, I never went to see my mother every day when she wasn't in the care home. Why do we feel like we have to do that when they are in a care home? And it's just a nice balance now, and it's gotten to a really good place.
Okay. And I think too, in the initial stages, a parent will reach out and want more because they must be confused
Yes.
about what's going on. They want more from you than perhaps you've been giving before, or that you're comfortable.
Yeah, I've realized that I have to kind of pull away because I've given a lot. Once my father died, I realized, that my mother kind of tried to latch onto somebody, and that was me. And so giving had to be balanced. But I can't imagine how she was feeling, because she wants to have safety and security. And that's in the end what I had to do. What are you doing for me? Well, I'm putting you into a home. And I might add, I never lied or promised, or, people say, I'll never put you into a home, I'll never do. No, it was always quite clear that this is what's going to happen. And so it wasn't a shock for her. And then once she was there, it was just settling in to find that this is her new way of life.
And I think you said there was a crisis where it became very clear to you, in order that your mom stay safe and secure,
Yeah.
she needed to be in an environment where people were looking after her.
Yeah, because while she was living on her own, every day I never even knew if she was gonna be alive the next day when I called. Like, that was the stress that I was feeling. So when she was still quite coherent to be able to talk to, my sister and I had talked to her and said, this is what we're doing for you, because so you can be safe and secure. And she had finally accepted that that was something that was needed. And the people at Birchwood love her and they look after her, and she is cared for.
And it sounds like Joyce went there early enough that she can make friends,
Yeah.
both with the staff and I presume other residents.
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned stepping into her world. I know you've talked to me before about sometimes things can be quite funny in her world.
They are, and every day I go there and I have the similar questions. How was your sleep? Oh, it was really good. What did you do today? Oh, I made pierogies and cabbage rolls, or I went to Dryden, or I just got back from Winnipeg, and it's interesting to see which age she is in. When she first moved in, I think she was around a 19, 20 age, so that was interesting to find out some of the things about what she did when she was that age. She's probably around a 30, 40 right now, and she gives me some funny stories, and it's really nice to be able to smile and reminisce with her, and remember her memories for her, because I know there was a couple times when she realizes that was the hardest part, when she'd go in and out and go, I can't remember Cindy, and that fear of look on her face, and it's like, don't worry, Mom, I know your memories.
So you can share them together.
Yeah,
Yes.
and remind her.
Yes. And it makes sense too, because the present day isn't so wonderful. It makes sense that the past comes forward.
Yes, and what it's really taught my sister and I, and we talk about this all the time, is that it really helps us to be more present, because she is where she is, and all we can do is just stay with that moment of what we're feeling with visiting with her.
And that goes back to not doing the anticipatory grief, just appreciate where everything's at right now.
Yes.
Probably a lot harder to do than it sounds.
It is hard, but it's just day by day. Sometimes it's minute by minute, hour by hour. It's where you're at, and you have to just get what you need in that moment.
Okay. We'll take another short break, and then I think maybe talk about some lessons that you've learned along the way and what you wished you'd known earlier. I think you mentioned before contacting Alzheimer's Society.
Yes.
would have been a good idea.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So please join us when we come back after this break.